orb weaver spiders, funnel web spiders. They make spider webs that are the same design as their parent organism, but they were never taught how to make that web design. In fact, orb weaver spiders never see their parent organism. They're born and hatched. I think they blow in the wind, kind of like the Charlotte's Web story. They never really see what their parents look like or how they design webs, yet they design webs the same way. You get the same thing with other spider species. This is something that is inherent, it's genetic in them. They know how to design a thing a certain way. Also, you get certain wasps, like these leaf wasps, or I don't think they're called leaf cutters. Oh, paper wasps, I think they're referred to. They build and design the same type of wasp nest as their parent organism. Also, they never see their parent organism. You get tons of different species that they have something inside of them genetically that they know how to build things. And that it's instinctual. You get this in a lot of bees, that they make perfect cones. But these bees may have hatched in a separate part from larvae. They never really see these cones being made, but they still know how to make them. It's genetic. It's built into them. And over and over you get these. Some dirt daubers, I think, they build certain structures, and it's genetic in them. They've never been taught how to build them. But the reason that I'm bringing this up is there's these arguments about a priori knowledge, that we can know things a priori, like mathematics working, or some other proposition of a priori knowledge, like mutual exclusive incompatibilities, that things can't be both is and isn't at the same time, or causal correlation, or even spatial awareness, that we have an understanding of space and time. And people tend to say that these are a priori knowledge, or that they're things that could be known, that they supersede falsifiability. And I'm not sure that they were a priori knowledge in the way that Rene Descartes thought of them, because he didn't know about evolution. Evolution wasn't discovered until much later. But what's likely going on here, in the same way that these thousands of different species, they can create or design things a certain way, or they have certain predilections that drive them, whether it's wolves when they're thirsty, if they go downhill, instinctively, that it's something that's built into them, whether you want to call it knowledge or call it a priori or whatever you want to call it. There are things that are inherently there. And when we think about our concepts like mathematics, and that we can use mathematics, even though pure mathematics isn't a priori, it's a type of logical construct. These are tools and awareness of space and time. These are likely something that is genetic frameworks has simply built into the consciousness. And we can say we know that they're true, in the same way that we might say of an insect that it knows this web will work. It knows that it should build the cones in a conical shape, or the dirt dauber builds its certain structure, that it knows it. I'm not sure that know is the right word, but there's genetic impulsiveness that's there, that the construct that it is going to build, it will work, because evolution has made sure that its internal design is a working model. So what it has at a genetic level, it will work. Whether it's a web, whether it's a wasp design, or whatever it is, or whether it's mutual exclusive incompatibility concepts or causal correlation concepts, that if something is, that it had to be caused, or anything that kind of Descartes mentioned as a priori knowledge. This is something that, we don't falsify these things, but they're things that we say, yes, we know that these things are true, or we know that there's space, we know that there's time, without coming to these conclusions through falsifiability. That's not to say that we can't test these things falsifiable, But the reason that I bring this up, and I've been on a whole kick lately, I suppose, about falsifiability and a priori knowledge, is when you're having conversations with somebody about something that they are representing, or that they believe something that is not a falsifiable claim, they try to lean into these concepts of a priori knowledge and say, well, there are things that we can know that aren't falsifiable, that they don't fit into the category of falsifiable, but we can still know them. And this is a way of trying to leave the door open to say, well, I can believe this thing and it not be falsifiable, but it's still valid. And there's only a handful of exceptions that Descartes even used as a priori knowledge. And the truth be told, all these things are evolutionary, instilled in the same way that spiders know how to build spider webs. Will the spider webs work? Yeah, they'll work. But that's something that evolution simply built that into the cognitive framework, so to speak. It rewarded it because it was successful. And in the same way, our concepts of these a priori things, they're successful in that they are reflective of reality. In the same way that the webs, they will work. They are reflective of reality. They will catch the bugs. So this is something that space, time, mathematics, do they work? Yes. And can we prove their function as far as them working falsifiably? Yes, we can. They are non-falsifiable. I talked about this a little bit in the mathematics, but so a priori knowledge, or rather pure mathematics, is it a non-falsifiable? Pure mathematics is non-falsifiable, but the results of mathematics in a physical application is falsifiable. So the apples, there are 5 apples. The word apples the word itself is simply a symbol. Is it falsifiable? The word apple is not falsifiable, but the object that is an apple is falsifiable. In the same way that the number 5 is not a falsifiable thing, but the physical objectivity of there being 5 is a falsifiable thing. So when we use these things in the negative, though, we have a slightly different outcome. So what we have is, in the negative, we can have abstract concepts. So I think the example that I used earlier was 5 minus 8, we get this -3. Is -3 a thing that exists in reality? No, -3 is not a thing that exists in reality. In this, when we use negative mathematics, what these things represent is they either represent something on a chart which is directional, or it represents some debt that is owed. So they're conceptual in their negatives. They don't correspond to a physical reality. But we get the same thing with not vocabulary. If we say I don't have this, or there is no water, or things like this, these are negative concepts. They're abstract concepts. They work in vocabulary, but the words themselves aren't. They're not falsifiable, but the concepts that they represent are falsifiable. So I think people just use these a priori arguments to say, oh yeah, it's still valid that I believe something that I don't have any evidence for. It's just such a cop-out. It's such a cop-out because they're trying to use something that even René Descartes would never have dared, use. He wouldn't have classified what they're talking about, whether it's metaphysics or whatever fairy claims or whatever they're making. These claims are non-falsifiable claims, and they know that they're non-falsifiable, but they try to compare them to things like pure mathematics is also non-falsifiable. Therefore, falsifiability is not a criteria, that is worth having. Falsifiability is the gold standard, first of all, and I don't think there's any mistake in that. The reason we have standards falsifiability is you can believe infinite number of things that simply aren't true, and they have no way of corresponding back to a thing that is true. So these are building castles in the sky. I think the old term that was used was air castles. you're building concepts that they don't have a way to connect to reality, and that's problematic. So if you don't have a way of falsifying a claim, you could be building concepts in thin air that they don't have a way to connect back and say these concepts in any way correlate to reality. But this is constant in philosophical debate. When somebody wants to hold on to an idea that is not falsifiable, they begin to debase the concept of falsifiability to start with, and try to cut that tree down, which is a scientific standard of all knowledge. But anyway, just wanted to talk on it a second.